Good evening, everyone. Myself Nitya. Today, let us discuss about relationships in database management systems. In that, first, let us see introduction to relationships. A relationships in a database management system is primarily the way two or more data sets are linked. This is so true for relational database management systems. One dataset may be then termed as the foreign key, and the ones linked to it may be termed the primary key. There may be multiple foreign keys and a primary keys linked to each other. Next, definition of relationships in database designs as a condition that exists between two databases tables in which one table contains a foreign key that refers the primary key of the other table. Relationships enable relational databases to divide and store data in separate tables while connecting disparate, disparate data items. Let us see what is key elements in database design. Relationships are established between tables or entities using common field to link and retrieve the data. These relationships are constructed based on logical and business requirements. Let us see what is entity relationships. Entities in a database can be related in various ways, including one to one to many, many to one, which are fundamental to understanding database structures. Relationship types in database design is essential for maintaining data integrity and ensuring efficient retrieval of information. What degree of relationship? Degree of a relationship refers to the number of entities participating in the relationship. The degree can be classified into three types: unary, binary, and ternary relationships. What is unary relationship? It has a degree 1. In a unary relationship, an entity is related to itself. This is also known as a recursive relationship. Example: employee entity that supervises another employee in a unary relationship. Next, binary relationship. In a binary relationship, two entities are participating in a relation. Example: a student entity and a course entity. A relation between them could be enrollment, where a student enrolls in a course. Next, ternary relationship. In a ternary relationship, three entities are involved. Ternary relationships are less common but can occur in more complex scenario. Example: the ternary relationship could be prescribed, indicating which doctor prescribes a particular medication to a specific patient. Next, types of cardinality ratio. Cardinality refers to the relationship between the number of rows in one table and the number of rows in the another related table. The types are 1 is to 1, 1 is to n is to 1, and m is to n. 1 is to 1 cardinality. A 1 is to 1 cardinality. Each row in the first table is related to one and only one row in the second table, and vice versa. Each person has one passport, and each passport is associated with only one person. Next, one is to many cardinality. In one is to many cardinality my relationship, each row in the first table can be related to one or more rows in the second table, but each row in the second table is related to only one row in the first table. Example: each department can be many doctors. Each department can have many doctors, but each doctor belongs to only one department. Next, many to one cardinality. In many to one cardinality, each row in the first table is related to only one row in the second table, but each row in the second table can be related to the multiple rows in the first table. A student joins only one college, but each college can contain many students. Many to many cardinality. In a many to many relationship, each row in the Each row in the first table can be related to one or more rows in the second table, and vice versa. Each student can join in multiple courses, and each course can have a multiple students is an example for many to many cardinality. Next, participation constraints in a database management systems are rules that define the degree to which entities in a entity set must participate in a relationship. There are two main types of participation constraints: total participation and partial participation. Total participation. In total participation, every entity in the entity set must participate in the relationship. This means that there are no optional entities. All entities must be related to at least one entity in the related entity set. In terms of notation, in an entity relationship diagram, the participation is often represented by a line double line connecting the entity to the relationship line. Next, partial participation. In a partial participation, not every entity is in the not every entity in the entity set is required to participate in the relationship. Some entity may be optional and not have a corresponding entity in a related entity sets. In term of notation, in a entity relationship diagram, partial participation is often represented by a single line connecting the entity to a relationship line. Enforcing participation constraints is important for maintaining data integrity in a relational database. These constraints are typically implemented through foreign keys, ensuring that every reference to another table is valid. Example is this is one to n entity. Professors guides as students, where professor guides is a partial participation, guides students is a total participation. Example: total participation for students. Total participation on the student side means that every student must be guided by a professor. In other words, every student is required to participate in the guides relationship. Partial participation for professors. Partial participation on the professor side means that not every professor is required to guide a student. Some professors may choose not to guide any students. Finally, thank you.